This is exciting.
Yeah, this part.
Good thing I do yoga. Alright guys, I hope you're all doing excellent. In less than 24 hours, we're going to be, well, we should be done with the dyno in less than 24 hours. But in less than 24 hours, this baby is going to be on the dyno. We just got her back from the alignment shop, and we've got those new Fortunato 500 series coilovers. She feels great. The new fuel pump setup is working wonderful. And now we need to just get some final things done before we get on our long road trip up to Los Angeles, and we throw her on the dyno. So, we are going to change the oil. But also, the alignment is now done. We want to get the S5 throttle body that I purchased on there, and that is for the throttle position sensor. Throttle position sensor on this S4 model is very narrow range, so it's not good for tunability. You used to have a mass airflow sensor in conjunction with the throttle position sensor that helped it manage airflow and fuel ratio, and the responsiveness of the car no longer has a mass airflow sensor because it's running on volumetric efficiency. So that TPS is not going to get us the fine tunability that the S5 TPS will. So I've got one of those over here. I already pinned it out, so we're going to throw that on and see if my only concern is that can we drive it right now if I hook up the new TPS, because it's not calibrated for this. If it's drivable, we'll leave it hooked up. If not, we'll leave the old TPS hooked up, and then when we get up to the dyno at Lucky 7, we'll switch it over and have our tuner mess with the settings from it from there. Also, we want to put our LRB speed components on for the under tray and the radiator panel so that we can get some nice cooling efficiency and more protection from any hazards on the road. The only problem is the bumper needs to be trimmed a little bit, because in order to mount, it's hitting the intercooler piping. And we just did a leak down test for boost leaks, and we found we need to tighten some of the intercooler piping behind the bumper anyway, so it should be good for us to get going on that. Am I missing anything?
No, we're pretty much good.
Oh, bonus, if we're doing good on time, we can install that old boost gauge that we have.
Yeah, just for boosties. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. So let's get to it.
So right now he's currently using the paint pen to trace out where it's touching the intercooler and the piping and where it needs to be trimmed, so we can get the bumper sitting properly to mount that LRB speed skid plate.
Yep, and then we're going to pull it off and hopefully just cut these areas that I've marked, or just trim them rather with like a Dremel or a rotary tool, or excuse me, what is that thing
Flapper
called?
disc?
Flapper disc. And then slide her back on. Hopefully we're good to go. So it looks like just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. We just need to trim up a little bit for clearance. Alright, just a few more here. And the front bumper should be loose. That should do it. Right. 2 more hidden bolts, or nuts, and there we go. Oh, light harnesses. And then there we go. And some zip ties. We're almost there. So, before we get the bumper back on, we need to tighten our intercooler piping that's hard to get to with the bumper on, because we found some small boost leaks, which is not unreasonable considering we haven't tightened this stuff up since we first assembled it on the car. And it's been heat cycled and ran for 1,500 miles at this point. So we got our little apparatus again and some soapy water. So we hit this to pressurize it from the vacuum and find some leaks. All right, so we ran down all the ones in the intercooler piping, which is great because we had an easy access and we got them all taken care of pretty easy. They're just a little tightening of the clamps. And we still have a pretty big one right here, which is perfect because we're actually going to be changing out the throttle body like we said earlier. So we're going to be taking that off anyway, and we can make sure it's sealed up. Check the O-ring gasket and also maybe just apply RTV. So let's get the bumper back on.
Okie dokie.
All right, so we got our bumper lined up. I just pulled the plug and drained the oil, and I pulled the elbow off because we're about to take off the throttle body so we can get our new one on there. And let's see, so I need to remove the throttle cable here.
Are we able to pop out that gasket O-ring thing and clean it?
We'll do that when it's off, but yeah. And we'll probably still RTV it, but the bolts are kind of hard to reach on this guy. There's two here and two on the bottom. So this will be fun, hunting those down. So we decided that it's just going to be easier to pull this up, our upper intake manifold, so we can get at it.
Like make the bottom two bolts just easier to get to.
Yep.
So up it comes.
And up you get. Come on. There we go. There we go.
Looky there.
Okay. So
Perfect.
now-
That is some easy access.
Yep. Okay. And the last one, the hard one.
Made easy.
Easy peasy. All right. Let's see if she wants to come off. Is anything connected? Nope. Easy. There we go. All right, so now to swap it out. So here's our two throttle bodies. They look almost identical. This one has a lot more going on though, because it has the stock dash pots on it, which basically, I think that's what they're called. They basically, as they warm up, they release different things on the throttle so that the startup is easier when it's cold, and it idles better, but we don't need those because we are using the aftermarket Haltech control of the idle air control valve. So I'm going to take those off, and then this is what we're getting it for, is to change this sensor here. So can you see that good for me, right, Jeff?
Yep.
So if I start to open the throttle here, you'll see it goes, and then
It's
all
already,
this throttle.
yeah, it's already off, not touching a sensor at all.
And even that, it's not very sensitive on the internal workings of it. This has one of those right here, but this one right here, if you watch, this is actually graduated. And watch when I turn the throttle on this. See, that second one moves very gradually all the way out to the very end. That's open throttle. So, and I also noticed this one I got is missing this nut, so we're going to take that off of here, put it on here, and dress this up, and then we'll put it back on. So we'll be right back. The RTV on there. Need the bolts.
Okay, so we have the throttle body and the elbow connected again. We did RTV it because, as you guys saw, there was a huge leak around here. So hopefully, you know, we needed to let that dry for about an hour. But what we're actually going to do before we continue any further, which is something we should have done a little bit earlier, we're going to plug in the sensors here. And we're going to make sure that the throttle position actually shows up on the Haltech before we continue any further. Alright, so on the Haltech here, you can see the throttle position is at 24.9, 25%, and luckily when he does twist it here, you can see that it does go up to about 98.3 right there. But the only problem is right now is that when we're not touching it, it's around 25%. So as soon as we start it, it's gonna rev. Upper intake manifold bolted down, back on. Throttle body's connected. The elbow's connected. This intercooler piping is connected. So while we still wait for that RTV to dry, we got about 10-15 minutes left. We'll start pulling out all the LRB speed stuff to try out and install.
So I'm very excited about this LRB kit because I really want this under tray, but I don't know how much of the stock stuff is still here to mount it to. Whoa, almost hit myself. But I'm going to get under here and give it a shot. So I got my hardware, I got my first piece, the right hand side, so let's give it a try. Alright, so I'm just guessing, because I found clearance at holes that match the bolt pattern here, I'm going to go ahead and assume that's it. And if these thread in, that even makes more sense. And they do. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get these in here, and then we'll get to the other side. So this one is pretty cool because it has a notch here and there's a point right there. So I see 3 holes that line up again. So I'll get my hardware and pop it in there. Okay, so this piece of kit has these slide channels in it, which is really cool. So I'll get those lined up. One, two, 3 over there. 1. Oh boy, this is exciting.
Yeah, this part.
Good thing I do yoga.
Yeah, this part looks like the most inconvenient part of it right here.
Yeah, but these slide things should make it easier once I...
Yeah, once you get it latched in, you're good.
Huh. Yeah, we're missing a reinforcement piece right in here. Easy short-term solution is obviously zip ties here. Better solution would be to just do some through bolts with nuts once we figure out where we want to put this. But yeah, I mean, it looks good so far. There's 2 bolts, a few bolts rather I need to put back here.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Like, it's just held in by those tabs and zip ties. Doesn't seem like it's gonna.
No. So.
Looks like it needs to come to the back a little further.
Yep, which it can on this side. These slides aren't all the way back, so I just gotta get those to free up. Come this way. There it goes. Do we have any more? Yeah, we do. We might get. There we go. There we go. That hole's lined up. That hole's lined up. And these holes lined up a little bit closer as well. So that's good.
So we can like just temporarily run zip ties through the front.
Yeah. But for right now, let me get some more hardware. Should I be laying in oil? I sure am. This is a reproduction of a factory option that came, or is part of it that gets removed. I don't know if it was just a deluxe thing. Well, I think this came, yeah, this is a reproduction of a part that's missing, but they also make a piece that goes right here.
Yeah.
That is was like a later model, and it improves the aerodynamic efficiency. And I'm definitely, especially this thing isn't even already installed, and I'm already sold. I'm going to buy that piece too.
Well, you know, that was one of the main problems with the first iteration of the NSX. That it looked aerodynamic, but underneath it, it was so like
it was a mess.
It was a mess that it actually caused a lot of like
turbulence or something.
Yeah, especially in the rear end. And they didn't fix it until like the later generation, like the Type R's, where they didn't have the flip-up lights when they're the smooth lights, and those ones are the ridiculously fast ones.
Were they all-wheel drive too?
No, they're all rear-wheel drive.
No, some NSXs were all-wheel.
Oh right, the NSX Type R with like the huge, like you see those huge scoops coming out of it on the top, almost like the Turbo MR2s had. Those ones were all-wheel drive.
only thing that doesn't work with this is that this aftermarket radiator, this hole is supposed to be for the coolant drain plug, and mine is all the way over here. But that's okay, because
we found other ways to drain the coolant.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna see what we can do up front here, and then we're gonna go ahead and do the radiator panel. This is sick. Now to match our beautiful under tray is a radiator panel, and it's great because it's going to cover up a lot of the work I've done. Now, I didn't get the instructions for this one, and it doesn't look too complicated, but it did come with 2 spacers in the hardware kit. I think they go there. Looks like it. Or do they go here? That's a cool fit though. Get this out of the way. Just, it's a bit of a gap here. This cool looking hardware. Could probably reinstall the stock stuff, but this looks so nice. This looks super clean.
Yeah, it does.
And they can make this for you if you don't want to have all these holes in it. You can just get the bare panel, cut it yourself, or you can get it without this. It's pretty cool. Looks good. So dope. Gonna have to mess with the way the radiator's mounted to close that gap. But whew, that is sharp looking. Nice. All right.
So simple little tighten down. Then we get to test. We will hook the vacuum back up. Test for any more leaks over here.
That's right.
And then from there, get the wheels back on, dropper.
Do a little test drive.
And make sure everything works. Make sure that throttle position sensor isn't causing any issues.
Or too much of an issue. It's
Yeah.
gonna act weird. But as long as it's drivable to get up there where we can get the tuner to, or tuner Nelson to set up everything in the Haltech, because it's locked and we can't get in there. It's probably for my own good. Yeah, we should be good to go.
We are ready.
Okay, engage.
Just do the checker back and
Bringo.
Bringo Bango.
That's right. Dude, this is awesome. We accomplished a lot. And at a pretty leisurely pace, actually.
Yeah. So let's go ahead. Do you kind of want to hook up the intercooler piping now and start the car and see what happens?
Yeah. Did you feed the headlight harness through here?
I did not.
Okay. That's alright.
So real quick, we started up the car and the RPMs were a little high.
Yeah.
But it was around like 2,000 and the car's not even warmed up yet, so that's gonna be fine to get up there with. Yeah, so
Drivable.
yeah, it's completely drivable, so we're good there. And then like Thomas said, when we get up there, Nelson and all those guys will be able to adjust the throttle position sensor on there. And
again, we would be able to right now too if we could access the calibrate function in the Haltech. Real easy. You just go calibrate, you go 0, open throttle, 0, open throttle, and then it learns. But because the map is locked, we don't have that. So we just have to deal with it until we get up there. Should be fine.
yep, so what we're gonna do now is get the wheels back on, then make sure that the oil is topped off, and the car's ready for dyno day.
Pretty much. Man.
How's that feel for you? 0 boost leaks. We fixed all the boost leaks.
She's running better than she's ever has. She
No
has the best
exhaust leaks.
suspension. She's looking great.
Feeling
Nice
great.
stuff.
You drove it after the alignment. Fantastic driving.
Yeah, that was before we fixed all the boost leaks and put on a better TPS. It's going to be incredible. All right, everyone. Throttle body's in. Under tray is done. Which means all we have left to do is load the truck with these supplies. And we are ready to head off to dyno day. I think she's looking great. I think she's running great. And it's only going to get better tomorrow. All right, everyone. We'll see you soon. We're going to be up early in the morning. So please remember, like, comment, and subscribe. And when they ask you, tell them you want more.